Okay, I have a few things that have come this week that have made me really excited. One is, I'm not sure where I heard about it, but Gail's Art, she has a Ravelry and I believe she has an Etsy store. Gail's Art has a sock blank club, and I signed up for my first ever sock blank club. And what you're supposed to do is be able to start, she left one end so that you can unravel it, and then you work and you just, it's supposed to make beautiful patterned socks. I can't wait to see. And it says Happy Valentine's Day on it. And she basically tells you that she started off with a skein of white undyed yarn, which has been machine knitted into a 10 by 42 inch rectangle for her. Now this makes dyeing long sections of the yarn possible without using a warping board. Each long stripe dyed on the knitted material correlates to a long length of dyed yarn when it is unwound. This is a commercially knitted sock blank that will allow you to knit 2 matching socks off one blank. So happy. There's 463 yards here, 100 grams, um, and it's 75% superwash merino wool and 25% nylon. I'm excited. I can't wait to start working on that. I should have told you earlier, I do have another project on my knitting needles, but I'm not sharing it yet. I'm hoping to make it a pattern that I will post on my Ravelry board um, when I get all done here. Okay, something else that's come in the mail this week that has made me so excited. I'm a book reviewer, and I've mentioned that I work for a few different companies like NetGalley, I always forget, NetGalley, Bethany House, and then there's this other one called Blogging for Books. And they send you one book at a time, and I always request print books. Supposedly they have ebooks that are available, but I like the print books in these because I usually request a lot of cookbooks, gardening books, things like that from them. Well, my daughter, as I mentioned last week, my daughter and her lovely family, husband and 2 beautiful children, live out in California. And of course, they've been having a lot of droughts out there. And they do want to garden. Well, last year they tried, and they did succeed a little bit. They ended up with a couple pepper plants and tomato plants, and I don't know if their melon plant ever did anything. Um, but being limited on how much you can water is an issue. Well, this book came up, and it's called The Water Saving Garden: How to Grow a Gorgeous Garden with a Lot Less Water by Pem Pennick. Now, I haven't looked at it yet. I will try to let you know next week if it's worth getting or not, but when I'm done, I will probably be sending this out to my California kids. It will, whatever's in it will definitely help them. And I'm going to start looking at this today. Now, I also belong to a group called Paperback Swap. Thought that book was going to fall. Um, at Paperback Swap, you can post any of your old books that you want, and then you can request books as they come up, or you can make up a wish list like, I love books. My wish list is filled. I can't add anything else until I get some books from them. Well, I got one this past week. I want to start doing more designing work. I've been knitting 40 years. I have enough confidence in what I can do that I know I can probably do this. If I could do this, granted, my top-down sweater is all stockinette stitch, but if I can do that, I'm sure I can design other sweaters. I'm starting to get excited about Gansey knits because my husband's family has a Scottish background, and so that area of the world is where the Gansey Gansey knits came from. Each family is supposed to have their own pattern, but he didn't. His part of the family actually originates in Edinburgh. So it's not really a fisherman town, and Gansey knits are fisherman sweaters. So we're just going to make it up as we go along a little bit. I'm going to let my husband and my son pick out patterns, and then I'm going to make them sweaters from that eventually. But getting back to what's made me excited, I'd forgotten I had this on my wish list. It's a design and knit the sweater of your dreams. And it's by J. Marcia Michler. Threw me off. I had a pastor once named Michler. And it has some pretty interesting patterns in it. And I'm thinking I might be able to use those as a basis. Oh, they have lost stitches too. As a basis for a pad or sweater. And then I'll be able to make my own designs, change the shape, things like that out of it. So I got that this week too. I think that's all as far as the things I've gotten. Now, I also told you I love listening to books. I'm right now in the middle of reading 2 books, and when I get those finished, I'll share those with you. But I also watch television while I'm knitting, and it's a nice way of getting through things. So I'm thinking, you know what? Sometimes there are shows on. My daughter and I share a lot of shows together, but there's some shows that she doesn't watch or that she doesn't watch anymore. And I don't have anybody to talk about them with. My husband only watches TV on our date night, so, you know, he does. If I start talking to him, he'd look at me like I'm nuts. So I'm going to share with you. And if you have any thoughts about these, I will warn you, these are from this past week. So, spoiler alerts. If I share anything, you know, I'm sorry, but spoiler alert. Okay, first of all, I did watch Scorpion. I connected a little bit with it because Scorpion takes place in California, and they were having a huge earthquake. Now, you know, this is something that I was concerned about when they moved out there. That, or everybody kept saying, oh, they're going to fall into the ocean. But I love the way that they took Sylvester, who is this computer person, and Ralph, who's a kid, whose mother is getting used to him, to how to raise him as a genius. He is a genius. Well, they both call each other indoor cats this week. And they said, it's time for us to become outdoor cats. So the team split up, and Ralph and Sylvester went one place, and Walter and Doc, who had been not getting along, they went someplace else. And the other team went someplace else. So they were working as a team, but in 3 different areas to keep California from blowing up when the gas leaks and all this. It was a really good episode. I really loved it. But I really loved how the indoor cats were going to become outdoor cats. Because I've told my husband, I could be an indoor person if I didn't have a dog that needed to be walked a few times a day. She makes sure I get out there every day. So, anyways, and then another show that I am a huge fan on, and usually my daughter and I will talk about this, is Doctor Who. I love Doctor Who. I've actually have some of the original episodes. I haven't watched them for a long time, but I'm loving the doctor's notes that they put with this year's rebroadcasts of the season. And I texted my daughter last night about Doctor Who, and she goes, oh, well, we decided not to watch Doctor Who anymore. Their daughter is just turned 3, and it was a little bit dark and scary for her this year. And I said, well, we don't want to scare her from Doctor Who. So, you know, okay. But I love Craig Ferguson. When my kids were younger, when they were in high school, and in the summertime when I wasn't teaching, we would sit up late and watch the Craig Ferguson show, who was on after Jay Leno. Of course, as I got older and I decided sleep was more important, I stopped watching that so much. I'm going to have to pause this for a minute because otherwise my section's going too long. I'll be right back.